All right, today we're cracking open a case file on a crime of, well, global proportions. Our story kicks off with a really mysterious attack on one of the world's most famous monuments. So let's get this investigation started. So here it is, our crime scene, the Taj Mahal in Agra, India. It's one of the seven wonders of the world, a truly breathtaking monument to love, built from this incredible, pristine white marble. For centuries, it's just been this perfect symbol of beauty. But, lately, something has gone very, very wrong. That brilliant white, it's fading. There's this creeping yellow stain that's starting to tarnish the whole monument. The beauty of this global treasure is literally under attack. So the big question for us detectives is who or what is doing this? See, the damage to the Taj, it isn't just random vandalism. No, it's a clue. It's a huge warning sign that's pointing to a much bigger crime, one that affects not just monuments, but every single one of us. After our initial investigation, we've zeroed in on our prime suspect, air pollution. And this isn't just one criminal. We're talking about a whole gang of invisible assailants who are attacking our atmosphere. Our job is to unmask them. Let's open up our first case file. The invisible air attack. We're about to profile the key members of this pollutant gang, try to understand their methods, and really see the damage they're causing firsthand. First things first, we need to know what we're actually looking for. Air pollutants are basically things that just don't belong in the air. They're contaminants, and they have a harmful effect on pretty much everything they touch, from our own lungs to giant stone buildings. Let's meet our first two villains, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. Now this pair, they rarely work alone. They love to team up with water in the atmosphere to commit a very specific crime, creating what's known as acid rain. And this lays out their MO perfectly. First, big industries, think oil refineries and power plants. They release these gases into the air. Then, these gases mix with water vapor way up in the atmosphere. The result? When it rains, it's not just water falling from the sky, it's a corrosive mix of acids. This acid rain literally eats away at the marble. It's a phenomenon that experts have grimly nicknamed marble cancer. But the gang is much bigger than just those two. We also have carbon monoxide, a silent thief that comes from cars and trucks. It gets into our bloodstream and actually stops our blood from carrying the oxygen we need. And then there's particulate matter. Think of them as a dusty gang of tiny soot and ash particles. They just hang in the air, creating smog and causing really serious respiratory diseases. Now, this gang of pollutants, they don't just operate in the air, because what goes up must come down. And often, it comes down right into our most precious resource, water. So our investigation is now moving to a new crime scene, the poisoned river. This is the River Ganga. For millions of people, it's a source of life, of livelihood. But a study by the Worldwide Fund for Nature found that it's now one of the 10 most endangered rivers on the entire planet. In some stretches, it's so polluted that aquatic life just can't survive anymore. It's essentially dead. So who are the culprits here? Let's check out the lineup. We've got untreated sewage, toxic chemicals like arsenic and lead from industrial waste, and agricultural fertilizers. And let's not forget this one, the monster made of garbage and plastic bags that we throw away in our towns and cities. And some of these pollutants trigger a really deadly chain reaction. The chemicals from fertilizers, they act like a super nutrient for algae, causing them to just grow out of control. But when these massive algae blooms die off, bacteria move in to decompose them, and in the process, they use up all the oxygen in the water. This starves the fish and other aquatic life, completely choking the life right out of the river. So, we've got attacks on our air and attacks on our water. But every good detective knows you have to look for the mastermind, right? The one big threat that connects all the smaller crimes. And in this case, it's a phenomenon that's giving our entire planet a rising fever. This mastermind operates through something called the greenhouse effect. Okay, think of our atmosphere like a natural blanket for the Earth. It traps some of the sun's heat to keep the planet warm enough for us to live here. And that's a good thing. The problem is, our blanket is getting way too thick. And here's the mastermind's plan. Human activities, like burning fossil fuels, release massive amounts of excess carbon dioxide, or CO2. This extra CO2 is what's thickening that atmospheric blanket, trapping more and more heat that can't escape back into space. As a result, the entire planet's average temperature is slowly but surely rising, and we call this global warming. Now, 0.5 degrees Celsius, it might not sound like a lot, right? But for our planet's average temperature, an increase like this has massive consequences. For example, scientists are reporting that the Ganga Glacier in the Himalayas is already melting because of this warming. And that is a direct threat to the freshwater supply for millions and millions of people. Okay, I know, this case might seem a little overwhelming, but this is not a story without heroes. The good news is we know who the villains are, and we know how to fight back. This part of the investigation is all about finding solutions. And there are already some incredible success stories. A few years ago, Delhi was one of the most polluted cities in the world. But then a major decision was made to switch public transport from diesel to much cleaner fuels like CNG or compressed natural gas. Just that one change resulted in significantly cleaner air for the city. It goes to show that large-scale change is absolutely possible. And you don't have to be a government to be a hero in this story. All of our small contributions make a huge difference. Conserving water at home, planting trees, taking the bus instead of driving, and just living by that simple mantra: reduce, reuse, recycle. This is our hero toolkit. All right, before we close the file on this investigation, let's do a quick review. A good detective always recaps the evidence to make sure the key facts are locked in. Okay, time for a quick pop quiz. Remember our first villainous duo? What were the circumstances that allowed them to create acid rain? That's exactly right. It's when sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide react with water vapor up in the atmosphere. This is what creates that corrosive rain that can damage monuments and forests even hundreds of miles away from the original source of the pollution. Let's close out our case file with one final question. True or false? Clear, transparent water is always safe to drink. The answer, of course, is false. As we've learned, water can be filled with all sorts of invisible dangers, from chemicals to microorganisms. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most serious threats are the ones we can't even see. And that makes this a case closed, but definitely not forgotten.